His Excellencies or Their Excellencies, the Governor and the Deputy Governor, and members of the House of Assembly who found it necessary to assign us to the Ministry of Works and have kept us there for the past 6 years. I want to thank them for this rare privilege. I want to thank you for the confidence reposed in us. Having said that, you can actually tell a blind man or deceive a blind man that there is fish in his soup, but you can't deceive him that there is salt in that same soup. Seeing is believing. That is a common cliche. But I tell you, seeing is not believing, rather believing is seeing. None of us here have seen God, but we believe there is God. And it is because we believe, that is why we see. There is a lot that has taken place in Bayelsa State, but because we do not believe, we appear not to be seen. So going forward today, let us try to believe so that we can see what change, the magic, the wonder that Seriake has brought to our state to prevail. On that note, I will just go straight by giving you the presentation outline. Slide, please. Slide, please. Yeah, that is the presentation by the Ministry of Works and Infrastructure. I do not say by the Honorable Commissioner because all of us in the Ministry of Works are equal. The cleaners, the commissioner, the engineers, everybody is equal because all of us contribute towards the cooking of the soup in the Ministry of Works. Next slide. For the presentation, we want to state our mission, our vision, as well as the core values of these ministries and the projects we have initiated, the ones completed, as well as the ongoing ones. Now, the objective of this presentation is to intimate the public about what the Governor Dickson administration has done in the past 6 years. We also want to create awareness so that we are all on the same page in terms of what has happened over this period. It's also our intention to evaluate our performance using you as assessors to know whether we have done very well or not. And finally, for us to make projections about the future. Now, the vision of this Ministry of Works, because what we did first was to change the attitude in the Ministry of Works. And you see, a bad attitude is like a bad tire. You can't go anywhere with it. So what we tried to do was to change our attitude in the Ministry of Works and develop a vision, which is that we want to be the leading ministry that is contributing to the improvement and sustenance of infrastructure. But there's one thing to create infrastructure, there's another thing to sustain them. Because if you create infrastructure without sustaining them, then they become useless. For example, this Okara Center, we knew what it was before the residential government, and we know what the residential government has done. And if this is not sustained, in the next 4 or 5 years, it will deteriorate to a state of reconstruction. And so we intended to ensure that in the ministry, we don't only improve on the infrastructure we have, but also ensure their sustenance. Now, our mission is to be the ministry that initiates, design, executes, supervise, and maintain social and investment infrastructure. Now, we need to distinguish this because sometimes we take every infrastructure project as a social service. No, there are some that have investment potential. And so our intention is to focus on both the social projects and the investment projects. For example, if we are building an airport today, it's not necessarily a social project. There's an investment component in it because it will bring in revenue to the state. If we put up a power project, it's going to give us benefits. So we needed to focus on these two dimensions to our development in the state so that we are ensuring that we are bringing both social dividends and investment dividends to the state. And we had to develop some core values, which means that we want to be accountable so that every kobo that is given to the Ministry of Works for projects, that kobo is accounted for. We also wanted to ensure that there's transparency in what we are doing. We wanted to ensure quality, and no doubt that has demonstrated in what we have been able to do in the past 6 years. Basically, you will see that for all the projects that the Governor Dickson administration has conceived, there is no one that is below par compared to any other project. And when you compare apples with apple, you get the value of the comparison. But if you compare apples with orange, you don't get value for the comparison. And to score this point, the governor of Rivers State, Chief Ewhrudjakpo, visited the governor about October last year or thereabout, and he looked at our governor's office. Just walking through the office, we didn't take him on a tour in any case. He just went through the normal corridors and then got to the governor's office and came back. The press asked him, "What is your feeling about the governor's office?" I'm not answering, I'm quoting him. He said, "I thought I had a governor's office, but I haven't seen the governor's office of Bayelsa State. I think I need to have a rethink about the governor's office." That's to tell you maintenance of quality. Now, we also wanted to ensure that there's integrity in what we are doing, there is fairness, there's excellence, and there's reliability, meaning that whatever we do, we should be able to rely on them, not that we do a job today, tomorrow that job is no longer available for people to use. Now, what have we been able to do? Next slide, please. We initiated about 104 projects under the Governor Dickson's administration. Now, I need to explain initiated, because some people want to zero us on to say the ones you started. I disagree with that philosophy because government is a continuum. And it's because of this non-realization that government is a continuum that we have a lot of elephant abandoned projects in this country. So a government comes, because this thing was started by Governor Dickson, you leave it and start your own. I don't think that is the way government is supposed to function. So when I say initiated here, I mean all the projects, whether existing, non-existing, that which the government has set out to execute and complete or to begin. And so I need to clarify this so that by the time you ask your question and you say, I tell you, I completed Nembe Ogbeya Road, you won't be carried away by saying that it was started by NDDC Shell and we just came in. No, I need to create that impression because government is a continuum, and whatever the other government stop, every other government that comes must begin to work from that place. So they are all initiated projects within the definition of this presentation. Now, we initiated buildings, public buildings, and road, bridges, and jetties. So we'll take about the public buildings. When we came in on board, we had acute office accommodation challenge for political office holders and civil servants. So what we did was to initiate secretariat annexes. We had also initiated the governor's office, the deputy governor's residence, new commissioner's quarters, police station at the commissioner's quarters, next slide, a multi-door courthouse, the state archives, the security command and control center, which the dependable deputy governor talked about. And I can tell you, you need to get there. If you are there in the situation room, as we are here talking, they're actually seeing what we are doing because that's the capacity the restoration government have been able to deploy in terms of security. We also looked at the VIP lodge because before this time, visitors to government house, especially high-class visitors, stay in hotels outside the governor's government house. That we thought was not good enough. We also initiated the governor's aides quarters. We initiated the guard brigade quarters because soldiers are posted to guard government house and they needed to have a comfortable place to stay. We also initiated the John National Academy, the Borough Town quarters, and the Borough Town Pavilion. This is necessary because most of us have forgotten that the issue of Borough Town was a concept of Chief Mefodokilo, who wanted to immortalize Borough, and not only Borough per se, who wanted to create new towns for nearly all the local government areas that existed in Rivers State as at then. And so the idea of Borough Town was conceived. The dredging was done in about 1981-82 for the sand filling of that area. But nothing was done until Governor Dickson became governor. And so we did not only construct a road to that place, but we started to bring life to that place. And as I speak with you, life is beginning to resume in that area. We also initiated the Academical Center project. We initiated the Governor's Lodge in Sagbama, the Governor's Lodge in Nembe, the Diagnostic Center, the medical staff quarters at the 500-bed hospital, the house officers and intent quarters, next slide, the clubhouse at Onopa, the Toruwa Pavilion, the OT Pavilion, the Nembe Police Station at Ofoni, the University of Africa, for which some people think we are just trying to duplicate. Like, The difference between the Palestine and the Israelites is not in the population, but in the knowledge that they have. The Palestinians have the highest population. Compared, it's about 5-1 Israeli. But the Palestinians cannot dominate Israel because of the attention paid to education and intellectual development. So the University of Africa, as far as I'm concerned, is an addition to our capacity to deal with and compete with our colleagues everywhere in the world. The number of universities in the UK and more than the number, in London alone, are more than the number of universities in Nigeria. Yet they are still opening universities. So the issue of University of Africa is only those who want us to remain at the backdrop or the back door of development that will think that getting University of Africa is a frivolity. Getting University of Africa is a necessity and a deservative. Because without the University of Africa, the number of our students that will be having an opportunity to go into the university will be limited. If you look at most of our states, especially the Western states, they made the difference because they had the opportunity of having many tertiary institutions to which people were admitted and they got knowledge. The power of knowledge is beyond the power of the gun and the power of the crude oil. So getting the University of Africa is a necessity. I want to thank Dr. Dickson for taking the bold step in his usual style of not listening to the noise that is around or being developed by the fly, but has continued to divide the chicken for all of us to be able to have a good rice and stew. We've also started the Senate building in NDU, a meeting place in Amasoma, the College of Agriculture now, Faculty of University, Phony. We've also looked at the government senior staff quota because quite a number of government house staff still remain live in the town, rented apartments. We've developed a police station at Zikoro, police station at Tororwa, a quality control lab, a cardiovascular center, the specialist hospital in Tororwa, a airport terminal building, the governor's lodge in Abuja, the government house gates. Now, very often we forget how the government house gate look like. Because today, sometimes we pass through the government house gate and we do not know that before this time, you have to be in a caravan. Caravan was what you usually see in the front of the government house before this time. But today, you go in there, you pass through the security check, you have a time to sit down and even watch some programs you are interested in. We've also built a police station at the 500-bed hospital, a supermarket and a restaurant at the 500-bed hospital because our concept of the 500-bed hospital is to have a medical tourism center where from across the world, people will come to Bayelsa State for medical services. And that is already picking up with the diagnosis center that is functional. And by the time we put the 500-bed hospital into full function, for which the Commissioner for Health will talk about, because I don't want to take out the sail or the wind from the sail of the Commissioner for Health or any other commissioner. I will limit myself to what we have done in terms of the infrastructure there. So he would come and talk to you more about what we are doing in the 500-bed hospital in terms of achieving the objective of medical tourism. Instead of we going to India, we'll bring Indians to come and work here and Indians to come and take health services here. We also have initiated the helipad at Government House, the airport fire bay, the police station at the Bayelsa Palm, where we have the ranch. We also initiated the police station at Tweke, the Bayelsa Transport Company terminal close to Swale. We constructed some market stores at Agoro. We've also constructed some, the Ijor House, completed it, and some mausoleums in the Ijor House, the armory at the police headquarters, and for the roads, we, like the Commissioner for Information rightly pointed out, the Aziboro Road was a one-lane road, but today we have forgotten that it's being dualized by the present administration. We've also started the dualization of the Opulelebele Road, the dualization of the Azikoro Road, popularly known as the Keki Road, where you have the NTA and some other broadcast station. When I came into town in 2012, precisely about the 29th of January, when I drove through that road, it was almost a failed road. But today, both who go there at night and at day believe that we have a high street in Bayelsa. We've also initiated other high-profile roads, which you see the roads on your right side if you are going out of town, off the Aziboro Road. And these include Road 24, Road 38 to 27, Road 30, Road 31, Road 28. We've also dualized the JTSP road, which is just behind us here. We've also dualized the road safety road, which all of us know was a single carriage and was difficult to pass through. We've also dualized the waterboard road, and then just by us here, we know what the hospital road used to look like. The Ewhrudjakpo road was also dualized and extended, and we've also dualized the road from AIT to Bayelsa Palm. Those who pass through that road know that that is a new brand road. We also conceptualized the idea of having an outer ring road in Bayelsa State. Now the concept is to ensure that you don't need to run into traffic to get out of town. And so we tried to develop the outer ring road, and we are working on it in phases. But for the snag from the contractor, the field contractor, I say so, who was handling the Glory Line Drive, I think by now we may have completed the second round. But the AIT Gbogene end of the road is being pursued, so we hope to get that road through before the administration wind down. Next slide. We've also dualized the Glory Land Gbogene road. You can pass there at day and at night, and you know that we have a beautiful road. We've also reconstructed the Tombia Etegwe road, and that was my baptismal of fire. Just a week after my appointment, the students from NDU were demonstrating to say that they could all go to school because lecturers were finding it difficult to drive on that Tombia Etegwe road to Amasoma. And so the first charge that was given to me was to maintain that road. We maintained, and then the governor felt. And that is why it is good to have a man who believes in his principle as a governor than people who play politics with development. For Governor Dickson, there's no politics, there's no sentiment. We met Moreno as a contractor, Eneco as a contractor on that road. For about 5 years, they were digging and digging and digging. And the government felt that was not good for Bayelsa. We revoked the contract. There was a lot of hue and cry. Why do you have to revoke the contract? And the question was that these persons have been working on this road for 5 years. You see, it is only a foolish man that falls into a pit and want to get out of the pit and continue to dig that pit. Because if you fall into a pit, if you want to get out of the pit, you stop digging and you just go far to come out. And so Governor Dickson felt digging that pit continually means that we are exhibiting foolishness. And you know, it is only a man who doesn't know wisdom that rides a dead horse. So we felt the contractor was not performing and there was a time to extinguish that contract. So we extinguished that contract and awarded it to CCCC. And in less than 12 months, that road is there. So the Tombia Etegwe road and 8 number bridges, that was the first time we started declaring colonial bridge out of Bayelsa State. And you can see that today, there's no longer colonial bridge in any of our roads. We also took on the Ewhrudjakpo road. And again, that was a road conceived by Chief Mavodokilo. When I came first to Ewhrudjakpo in 1987, very young then, with a lot of energy, my uncle, who was a public health superintendent, then called sanitary inspector, brought me here to stay with him for a couple of days before going back. And as an explorer, I wanted to look at how does Ewhrudjakpo look like. We crossed over to Akaba then. We crossed over there to Ogbogoro with a boat. And that road had been sand-filled from the waterside to somewhere almost just beyond Ogbogoro. So since 1982 or 83, that road has been under or been in the pipeline. And you see, sometimes it's good to have a militant, because the benefit of a militant is that they break the pipelines and get what is there in. So we decided to break that pipeline, that project being in the pipeline, and bring out the project. And so we have to move forward with that project. And so today, we have the Ewhrudjakpo road on our agenda. We also have developed 2 spurs, one to Akaba and one to Ogbogoro. And then we've also dealt with the Deeper Life Road. Next slide. We've also constructed an access road to Borotan, which I've mentioned earlier. And so today, the Borotan is a reality. We constructed an access road to the Dijon National Academy. We constructed some internal roads within the Dijon National Academy. We also constructed some internal roads in Nembe, and we also constructed some internal roads in Kurokrosi. We've also, next slide, completed the Ogobri-Torebeni Bridge, one of the longest bridges in the whole of the Niger Delta region. We've also completed the access road to Ogobri Bridge. We've done some internal roads in Tororowa. We've started the construction of the old assembly bypass. If you are coming in, the road between the traffic lights and the Shaw House, that's what we call the old assembly quarters road. We've started the construction of the Miringi Bridge. I know I'm going to have some questions about the Miringi Bridge. Don't worry. We have told you by June this year, the Miringi Bridge will be crossed. We developed the Bayelsa heliport. Now, the essence of the heliport is to ensure that those executives who want to get into the tourist island do not waste time coming by roads. And so we've been able to develop that, and that is completed. The Bayelsa airport, a lot of people have questioned the rationality behind that. But I tell you, the fastest means of transport is air. The next fastest one is train, which is cheaper. To develop a rail, to develop an airport. And because the faster you get out of a place, the easier for you go there to do business. And so the essence of the airport is to bring development to Bayelsa, bring business to Bayelsa, and bring Bayelsa to business. And so the airport is a necessity, and we think it is a decision in the right direction. We've constructed some internal road to link Angalabri and Tororua, done some internal roads in Agberi and Odoni. We've also done, next slide please, we've done the access road to the airport. We've done the access road to the helipad. We've also constructed we are constructing the Tourist Island Bridge. We have constructed the first flyover in Bayelsa State, when even some states that are older than us have not got a flyover. Somebody would think it's a luxury. No. If you usually come to work early, you know that at the NNPC junction, there's always a traffic deadlock anytime, any day. And so the flyover was a necessity, and it was not misplaced priority at all. Now, we've also constructed a road to Oka. We are constructing a road to St. Stephen's Youth Center to Tweke. We are constructing a road to Plot 2076, which is up by the House of Assembly quarters at Azikuro area. We are constructing in the Sabama Ikenemo Road, for which I'm one of the first beneficiaries. The other day, I was telling my colleagues in ESCO that there's a new policy in ESCO. If you know you are from a riverine area, you don't have the power to move a memo in the ESCO. Those of us who are from urban area, those are the people who can move memo in ESCO. Because before now, I was also a riverine community. Ofoni was a riverine community. But courtesy of Honorable Seriake Dickson, I'm now an urban citizen. Because I can drive to Ofoni. I'm just coming from Ofoni this morning. You won't believe that. That's to tell you what Governor Dickson has been able to do. So I've told him I'm going to relocate home and come to work. All he needs is that at least by 8 o'clock, I resume work. It doesn't matter where I sleep. So I'm just coming from Ofoni this morning, courtesy of Governor Dickson. And I enjoy the light there too. I don't want to take the wind again from the sale of the Commissioner for Power. For my community, the light there is more stable than the light here in Egua. Now, we have done the resurfacing of the Sabama East-West Road Junction, and we have also constructed the Swale-Osbo Lake Road. Now, we've done the access road to the Heroes Park, which the Deputy Governor spoke about. We've constructed some jetties in some communities. We are doing the shoreline protection in Tororua. We've constructed the jetty at the Sample. We've done some internal roads in Agoro. We are doing an internal road in Kurama. And we've been able to clear the roads across the Ogobri Bridge. That today you can drive to Kumbri, Beni, Akede, you can drive to Iriama, Amatolu, and even drive to Bosware. That again is because the governor wants us to bring all of us from landlocked to development. The Kirima Road has been cleared. The Ofoni Toribeni Road has also been cleared. We are constructing a road in Opolo. The road to the Iregwe farm is under construction. We are constructing a road around Stroller Market. We contributed and constructed the Nembe Brass Road, and we completed a new government house car park. The Justice Tabai Road has also been completed and constructed. The maintenance of roads has been a necessary thing. Now, we do not know this, but this is a fact, that Bayelsa State Government, through intervention and collaboration with the C4 project, we have been able to construct about 100 and something concrete walkways in this state, within Yenegua and the surrounding environment. Not only that, we have used it to generate over 4,000 jobs for our youth. So you can see our youths who are collecting between 20 to 25,000 naira every month. And so that is great employment in terms of what we have done with the initiation of projects and the projects we are pursuing. Like Deputy Governor rightly pointed out, our initiation of projects have actually opened up the economy. When I came into Bayelsa State in 2012, the number of story buildings that are on the Azikboro Road, you could actually count them on your fingertip. But today, the whole Azikboro Road is a different tune. And that is courtesy of the local economy that has been grown as a result of the projects, the massive projects we are developing in the state. Now, you can say you've initiated so much which have been completed. Like I said, we have completed the 4 secretariat annexes. And so my office, which used to be one round sharp angle, is now a flamboyant office. Today I have the pride of receiving people in my office. And so we completed a secretariat annex 3, 4, 5, and 6. You can see them on the picture. Pictures don't tell lies, but I know, like I said, believe and you will see. Now, we've also, next slide, we've also completed the best governor's office, iconic governor's office in this country and beyond. I have traveled far and wide, and I can tell you there's no governor office that's like this. I've been to Ghana and visited the Cape Coast province, because in Ghana they don't have states, they have what they call province. And the office of the provincial governor, I think was like something close to the one we had before. So you can see what used to be our governor's office and what is the governor's office now. You cannot compare necklace made of beads with that made of gold. The women know the story and they can tell us better. Next slide. We came in, and as dependable as the deputy governor was, he was, I don't want to say this, but he had no residence. I didn't want to use that. So we're even thinking that he was a visitor to the governor, because he was actually staying in one of the governor's guest houses. So each time I go to visit him, I tell him, I say, Your Excellency, when you become your own house, I will be one of the persons that will be coming there to eat. So we completed the deputy governor's residence, and so we are proud today to say that a deputy governor in this state, since the creation of the state up to 2014, there was no deputy governor's residence. So all the deputy governors that have served in this state were staying in the governor's guest houses. That we think was all good enough, and we have completed that. So congratulations and thank God. We also constructed 10 additional commissioners' quarters. And you see, the taste of the pudding is in the eating. When you see what we have built and what was existing there, the difference is 7 up. So that is what we have been able to do. We felt that having a commissioner's quarter without adequate security would not be adequate. And considering the security challenge we met when we were coming on ground, we felt there was a need to build a police post. So there's a police post, which you can see there at the commissioner's quarters. Next slide. The governor is a man of investigation and is also a man of law. And we felt that the cost of administering justice was beyond what the common man can do. Because litigation is more expensive, but arbitration and alternative dispute is more cheaper and also time-saving. And so we decided to build the multi-door courthouse, which is completed and put into use. It's just opposite us here. So that is the multi-door courthouse for you. There's room for arbitration, conciliation, mediation, and negotiation. That is fully functional, and there's an administrator. And Bayelsa State is one of the first states to have an independent multi-door courthouse. The multi-door courthouse in Lagos is still within the remit of the jurisdiction of the Lagos judiciary system. But we have been able to build a distinct building for a multi-door courthouse. So we are first in that direction. Now, we've built an archives. The archives is just within the Cultural Boulevard here. Now, why do we build an archives? All the records about us need to be kept. Both the ones I'm delivering today and the ones that have been delivered in the past. And before this time, the Ministry of Information was housing that. Yes, the archive is still under the Ministry of Information, but we needed to distinguish where our public documents and private documents should be kept. The Ministry of Information is a private organization to the extent that it has its own private thing. But those that we consider as state properties and state documents need to be kept in the archives. So the state archive is completed and is put into use. We also built the quality control lab. Now the essence of the quality control lab was that we were going into a huge construction exercise, and there was a need for us to test the quality of rods and to test the quality of materials we are using in the state. And consequently, we built the quality control lab, and it's yet to be fully equipped. But what we do is that for every concrete we cast, we get the concrete cube, crush, and ensure that the mix is right. We test the rod with our caliper to know whether the size, if you say 14 mm, whether it's actually 14 mm or you are